All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about one of the most powerful tools in any data analyst's kit, time series forecasting. Think of it as the art and science of using the past to see into the future. It's basically your own data-driven crystal ball. So let's get into how it all works. I absolutely love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. We are not talking about magic here. We're talking about finding real, meaningful patterns where the secret ingredient, the most important thing, is the sequence itself. It's all about that tick-tock of the clock. Okay, so what is it formally? Time series forecasting is just our way of predicting what's next by looking at data we've collected over time. And let me tell you, this is a huge deal for any business. It moves you from just looking in the rearview mirror, describing what already happened, to looking out the windshield and predicting what will happen. And that is absolutely critical for things like planning, budgeting, managing inventory, you name it. So, how do we actually do it? Well, before you can predict the future, you gotta understand the past. And the really cool thing is that any time series, no matter how wild and chaotic it looks on a chart, can actually be broken down into a few simple, easy-to-understand parts. And here they are, the three basic building blocks. First up, you've got the trend. That's the big picture direction. Are your sales generally going up over the years? That's the trend. Second, seasonality. These are the predictable ups and downs. Like how ice cream sales shoot up every summer and drop in the winter? That's seasonality. And finally, whatever's left, all the random, unpredictable static, we call that the residual. It's just noise. A good model learns to see the trend and the seasons and tune out the noise. Now, you might be thinking, hey, isn't this just regression? And that's a great question, but the answer is a definite no. With a standard regression model, you could shuffle your data like a deck of cards, and it wouldn't change the result. But in time series, whoa, no way. The order is everything. What happened today is deeply connected to what happened yesterday. That dependency, that's the whole game. And that idea of dependency brings us to a concept you're going to hear a lot, stationarity. Now, it sounds a little intimidating, but the idea is actually super simple. It just means that the basic rules of your data don't change over time. The average stays about the same, the ups and downs are consistent. I mean, think about it. How could a model learn from the past if the rules of the game are constantly changing? It couldn't. That's why getting your data to be stationary is often the very first and most crucial step. All right, so now that we've got the fundamentals, let's talk about the tools of the trade. And trust me, the forecaster's toolbox has gotten a major upgrade over the years, from simple rules of thumb all the way to some seriously powerful AI. We can basically group these models into three big families. First, you've got the really simple methods, things like tomorrow's forecast is whatever happened today. Then you've got the classic statistical models, like ARIMA. These were the workhorses of forecasting for decades, and they're still super useful. But as our data got bigger and way more complex, we needed something with more firepower. And that's where the advanced machine learning models come in. This is where things get really, really interesting. So when we talk about AI for forecasting, we're talking about some amazing architectures. Take RNNs, for example. They have a kind of memory, which lets them remember context from way back in the data stream. Then there is CNNs, and yeah, these are the same kind of networks used for image recognition. But here, they're fantastic at spotting local repeating patterns. But the current king of the hill, that's the transformer. It uses this incredible thing called an attention mechanism to look at all the past data at once and intelligently decide which parts are most important. It is an absolute beast for finding complex patterns. And that brings us right up to the cutting edge. Because the use of these advanced models has created a huge shift in how we even think about building and using AI for forecasting. It's a whole new ballgame. So what is this massive shift? Well, it really boils down to this one question. Is the future of forecasting in predictive AI, which is what we've been using for years, or is it in generative AI, the same kind of tech that powers tools like ChatGPT? Here is the key difference. For years, we've used predictive AI. This is like hiring a super specialized tutor who only knows one subject, your company's sales data. They're an expert, but only on that one thing. The new frontier is generative AI. This is like hiring a genius who has studied, well, everything. Finance, weather, you name it. They don't just memorize one specific pattern, they learn the underlying language of how things change over time. And this is where it gets kind of mind-blowing. This new approach leads to a breakthrough called zero-shot forecasting. It means you can take one of these giant pre-trained models and show it a data set it has never, ever seen before, and it can give you a shockingly accurate forecast right out of the box. No special training needed. For a business that needs answers fast, this is, well, it's a complete game changer. Okay, this technology is fascinating for sure, but let's bring it all back down to earth for a second. Why does any of this matter for you, for your career? How do we actually turn these fancy models into real-world business decisions? Honestly, the applications are just everywhere. If you're in retail, you're using it to make sure the right products are on the shelf. In finance, you're forecasting revenue and risk. Healthcare, you're predicting patient surges to staff your hospitals correctly. And in tech, you're making sure your servers don't crash when a new product launches. This skill is valuable in pretty much any industry you can think of. And you know what the best part is? Getting started is easier than ever. You can literally explore the basic ideas right inside Excel or Tableau. When you're ready to get more serious, you'll jump into Python or R, those are the industry standards, and when you're working with truly massive data sets, you'll move to the cloud with powerful tools from AWS, Azure, and Google. There's a really clear ladder for you to climb here. So let's end with this fundamental truth, a famous quote from the statistician George Box. The goal of forecasting is not to be perfectly correct. That's just impossible. The goal is to reduce uncertainty. It's about giving yourself a data-driven edge that beats a simple gut feeling, so you can make smarter, more confident decisions about the future. And in today's world, that's not just a skill, it's a superpower.